Nguyen Dynasty's official document is a type of original administrative document of the Vietnamese feudal royal dynasties under the reign of the Nguyen kings. So far, 19 official documents concerning Vietnam's sovereignty over the Paracel and Spratly archipelagos have been collected. The official documents are closely associated with the activities of the Hoàng Sa Brigade, which is appointed by the King to conduct surveys, mapping and erection of sovereignty markers on the Hoàng Sa and Trường Sa archipelagos. The official document dated 15th of April of the 15th year of Minh Meng's reign, 1834, is about the arrangement of the Hoàng Sa Brigade in preparation for its mission to the Paracel archipelago. The official document dated 13th of July of the 16th year of Minh Meng's reign, 1835, is concerning Corporal Pham Van Nguyen's return trip from the Hoàng Sa archipelago. The official document dated 12th of February of the 17th year of Minh Meng's reign, 1836, is about the appointment of the Deputy Chief Commander Pham Hue Nhat to a mission of erecting a sovereignty marker on the Paracel archipelago. The official documents dated 21st of June of the 19th year of Minh Meng's reign, 1938, reveals the results of the Hoàng Sa survey team. The official document dated 26th of January of the 7th year of Teo Chi's reign, 1847, is about the postponement of the mission of surveying the Paracel archipelago. Several official documents are about the Nguyen dynasty's policy concerning search and rescue missions at sea in the area of the Paracel and Spratly archipelagos. The official document dated 27th of June of the 11th year of Minh Meng's reign, 1830, shows that Nguyen Van Ngu, head of Da Nang Port Authority, sent a patrol ship carrying fresh water to rescue a French merchant ship in distress in the Paracel archipelago. The official document dated 22nd of December of the 22nd year of Tu Duc's reign, 1869, shows that 540 people of Fujian province on board a merchant ship in danger in the Hoàng Sa archipelago were rescued and provided with food and fresh water. Other official documents are on the Nguyen dynasty's policy concerning the officers carrying out their public missions on the Hoàng Sa and Trường Sa archipelagos. The official document dated 19th of July of the 19th year of Minh Meng's reign, 1838, is about the request for tax exemption for crew members carrying out public missions on the Hoàng Sa archipelago. The official document dated 13th of July of the 18th year of Minh Meng's reign shows forms of reward and punishment for officers contributing to public missions to the Paracel archipelago or those failing to fulfill their tasks. The Nguyen dynasty's official documents are an original source of information concerning the activities of the Hoàng Sa Brigade, which was appointed by the King to missions to the Paracel archipelago. This affirms that the Vietnamese feudal dynasty has established and exercised the sovereignty over the Paracel and Spratly archipelagos in a continuous and peaceful manner through state activities under the King's direction. Newly discovered documents reaffirming the sovereignty of Vietnam over the two archipelagos, Paracels and Spratlys during the French colonial period. Original birth certificate of Ms. Mai Kim Quy, born on the Paracels. In the birth certificate, it is stated clearly, Ms. Mai Kim Quy, daughter of Mr. Mai Xuan Tup and Ms. Nguyen Thi Tang, was born at 1500 hours on the 7th of December 1939 on Patel Island, Crescent Group of Paracel Archipelago. There are two witnesses, Dr. Nguyen Tang Chuan and Mr. Do Duc Mui, chief of radio station on the island. The birth certificate was issued by the French administrative unit at the Crescent Group Paracel Archipelago, Kingdom of Annam, on the 28th of June 1940. signed by the administrative special agent with an official red seal. The Chronicles of the Department of Meteorology of Indochina was published by the General Government of Indochina in 1942. In this book there is a map of Vietnam with two archipelagos, Paracels and Spratlys. The book also contains the list of meteorological stations and their meteorological data until the 31st of December 1940, including the stations located on Patel Island and Woody Island of the Paracel Archipelago, and the station located on Itu Aba Island of the Spratly Archipelago. As the representative of Vietnam, the French government undertook many activities to consolidate the sovereignty of the Vietnam over the two archipelagos, Paracels and Spratlys, including the construction of meteorological stations on these two archipelagos. In 1949, the World Meteorological Organization provided registration numbers to the stations that France had built on the Paracels and Spratlys, namely number 48859 for the station on Woody Island, number 48860 for the one on Patel Island, and the number 48919 for the one on Itu Aba. The original dossier concerning the lighthouses, dated 1950, was in French with a French seal and signature on its cover. It includes filling in forms on technical data of 33 buoys and lighthouses in the center of Vietnam. From pages 306 was the form and technical specifications for the lighthouse on Patel Island, which was filled in manually with violet ink and attached with a map and illustration outlines. The outline clearly indicated the location of the lighthouse on Patel Island, with a drawing providing its shape and height. According to this document, the lighthouse was located at coordinates 16 degrees 32.2 north, 111 degrees 35.8 east, on the southwest of the Patel Island Crescent Group Paracel Archipelago. The lighthouse was built by the company Barbier, Bernard et Turenne in October 1937. Those were legal evidence to assert administrative and civil activities that the French colonial government in Indochina undertook on the two archipelagos, Paracels and Spratlys, to contribute towards maintaining the undeniable sovereignty of Vietnam on these two archipelagos.
China appears to be flexing its considerable military muscle, building a massive island that could host an airstrip in the area of the South China Sea that has become a source of regional tension over disputed territorial claims. IHS Jane said satellite imagery it obtained showed that in the past 3 months, Chinese dredges have created a landmass that is almost the entire length of Fiery Cross Reef in the contested Spratly Islands. The leading defense publication reported Thursday that the satellite pictures also showed the dredges are creating a seaport east of the reef that would appear to be large enough to receive tankers and major surface combatants. The Spratly Islands are a collection of islands, reefs, and shoals between Vietnam and the Philippines. A U.S. military spokesman said Friday the land reclamation project on Fiery Cross Reef is one of several pursued by China, but the first that could accommodate an airstrip. It appears that's what they're working towards, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Poole said. The U.S. opposes the Chinese land grab and wants other governments to refrain from doing the same. We urge China to stop its land reclamation program and engage in diplomatic initiatives to encourage all sides to restrain themselves in these sorts of activities. Reuters also said that Beijing has ignored the U.S. protests, saying that it can build whatever, whenever it wants to in the South China Sea. IHS Jane said the new island is nearly 2 miles long and 0.2 of a mile wide. The reef was previously underwater except for a concrete platform built by China's Navy to house a small garrison with air defense guns. The land reclamation at Fiery Cross is the fourth such project undertaken by China in the Spratly Islands in the last 12 to 18 months, and by far the largest in its scope. Given its massive military advantage, this new island appears purpose-built to coerce other claimants into relinquishing their claims and possessions, or at least provide China with a much stronger negotiating position if talks over the dispute were ever held.
The Department of National Defense, or DND, on Wednesday confirms China's construction of a suspected airstrip on Mabini Reef, or Johnson Reef, in the West Philippine Sea or South China Sea. DND spokesperson Peter Galvez says there is a, quote, ongoing reclamation or earth-moving activities in that portion. Philippine presidential spokesman Edwin Lacerda says China's construction proves Manila right in filing a case against Beijing with an international court. China has consistently pushed for a bilateral approach in resolving disputes, but the Philippines insists on a multilateral discussion because there are several claimant countries. Lacerda says Mabini Reef is claimed by 3 countries: the Philippines, China, and Vietnam. The Philippines Foreign Affairs Department protests the ongoing construction, but China rejects this, saying the reef is supposedly part of their territory. Construction activities in the disputed territories is a violation of the declaration on the conduct of parties in the South China Sea. This was signed by China and member nations of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in 2002.
In a move to strengthen its hold on the disputed South China Sea territories, China has officially established a new city there. It's called Sancha, and it's on a tiny island that's barely big enough for an airstrip. Here's Al Jazeera.
The city, which it's calling Sancha, has a supermarket, a bank and a hospital. Disputes over the sovereignty of islands in the area has led to maritime standoffs in the past. 4 other nations also claimed the territory as their own.
The South China Sea has been called the world's most disputed waters and also one of the most traveled. The Telegraph reports on what China's new city means for the conflict. The move will pit it directly against the Southeast Asian countries, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Brunei, all of which also claim sovereignty over parts of the region. But one expert at China's Foreign Affairs University said the other countries are much less powerful than China. They would have to lose their heads to start a fight. Voice of America says news of Sancha City comes as a recent report claims the territorial quarrel is at a deadlock. The report was released after ASEAN, a 10-member Southeast Asian regional grouping of nations, did not agree on a code of conduct to uniformly resolve the maritime disputes at a regional summit last month. And the Council on Foreign Relations says more than anything, the territory mess has created doubt as to whether ASEAN can handle regional conflict. Even some of the most ardent backers of the organization now wonder whether ASEAN's traditional consensus style is defunct. This is hardly the first time the consensus approach has proven counterproductive. ASEAN failed in the past to take strong positions even on conflict within Southeast Asia, as occurred in East Timor in 1999 because of this adherence to consensus and non-interference. China also has plans to establish a military garrison on a nearby island, while the Philippines said it plans to buy weapons that could be used to attack enemies in the disputed waters. The region is said to be energy rich. For Newsy, I'm Lauren Goris. Multiple sources, the real story.
Leaders in the Philippines have their own complaints. They suspect Chinese authorities have started building military installations in another disputed part of the South China Sea. Both countries and others claim the Spratly Islands. Last month, Philippine military officials took aerial photographs of a rocky area called Johnson Reef. NHK obtained the photos. The photos show the Chinese have pushed more earth into the water, expanding the area of reclaimed land. Workers have put up a long and thin building surrounded by what appears to be a seawall. Philippine officials also took photos in February, and they say since then the Chinese have done a lot of work. Photos of another area, Gavin Reef, show the Chinese have done more reclamation work there. And Philippine officials say a large ship that appears to be a tanker is anchored in deep water. Commanders suspect the Chinese have started building military ports, runways, and radar facilities on the reefs.
On a fishing boat in the middle of the South China Sea, I am on the hunt for the Spratly Islands. I want to find out whether claims that China is building new territory out here are true. Then on the horizon, what looks like land, an island where there shouldn't be one.
On my GPS, and this has the latest software on it, it says elevated house with a mark of a reef. It's very clear that this ahead is not a reef, it's an island, and that island was not there a few months ago.
As we forge closer, the weather closes in. The new island disappears behind a shroud of rain. We plough on south and the rain gradually clears. After 4 hours, we spot a Vietnamese fishing boat. And then dead ahead, another island. This one even bigger, and it is a hive of activity.
This place behind me here is called Johnson South, and until a few months ago, it was a Chinese-controlled submerged reef. But now, as you can see, it's been transformed into a giant construction site. And this is where the Philippine government thinks China may be building its South China Sea airbase.
These aerial photos show what this place looked like a year ago, and then in February and finally March this year. Millions of tons of material have been pumped into the reef to create new land. Our Filipino captain is shocked by what we've seen. We used to come here all the time to fish, he tells me. Now with all this construction, I think it won't be long till we can't come here anymore. As if on cue, the Chinese start firing flares into the sky, warning us it's time to leave. China claims the entire South China Sea, including all the Spratly Islands. Beneath this vast claim may lie billions of tons of oil and gas. Early next morning, a new silhouette appears on the horizon. A rusting World War II hulk stuck atop another reef. This ancient rust bucket is the Philippine Navy ship Sierra Madre. On board, a tiny garrison of 10 Philippine Marines, all that stands in the way of another Chinese takeover. Just beyond the reef, 2 Chinese ships roam up and down.
The coast of the Philippines is about 120 nautical miles in that direction. The coast of China, on the other hand, is 800 miles in that direction. But those 2 Chinese ships sitting just off the reef behind me are here to enforce Beijing's claim that this submerged reef is actually Chinese territory.
For the last year, the Chinese ships have been blockading the Sierra Madre, trying to stop fresh supplies and wearing down the Marines' morale. Our families are far away, he says, so it's a big sacrifice. Food is limited and it's difficult to avoid boredom and sadness. While these Philippine Marines live in peril of falling through their own rusting deck, Beijing's ambition to turn this sea into a Chinese lake moves onward almost unopposed. Rupert Wingfield-Hayes, BBC News, in the Spratly Islands.
The Philippines releases photos to prove what it calls China's destabilizing moves in the disputed West Philippine Sea or South China Sea. The photos show China's construction on Mabini Reef or Johnson Reef in the disputed Spratly Islands over a span of 2 years. In a statement Thursday, the Philippine Foreign Affairs Department says, quote, "These actions are considered destabilizing and in violation of the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea and international law." It adds Mabini Reef is part of the Kalayaan Island Group, which is part of Philippine territory. The first photo, dated March 13, 2012, shows a predominantly blue sea. The two succeeding photos, dated February 28, 2013 and February 25, 2014, show gradual construction and reclamation activities. The last photo, dated March 11, 2014, shows a huge patch of reclaimed land. Philippine Defense Secretary Voltaire Guzmin says China is likely building an airstrip and a military base in the disputed area.
China building massive island in disputed South China Sea. Satellite images obtained by defense publication show that China is building an island that will be large enough to house an airstrip in the disputed Spratly Islands. As shown by satellite images, China is reclaiming land at Fiery Cross Reef. The reclaimed island will be at least 3,000 meters long and between 200 and 300 meters wide. A People's Liberation Army garrison has been built on the reef's southwestern edge. The island will be able to accommodate an apron and a runway. Once completed, the construction will give China more leverage, as it is the only claimant that doesn't have access to an airfield. China is also constructing a harbor on the reef, which will be large enough to receive tankers and major surface combatants. China has been building 3 other islands in the disputed area, but the construction at Fiery Cross Reef is by far the largest. The United States has urged China not to continue with the reclamation projects in the South China Sea.
Did you miss a teacher sex story? Visit the Nasty or Nice section on tomonews.net.
Việt Nam vừa lên tiếng phản đối các hoạt động xây dựng của Trung Quốc tại bãi đá chữ thập thuộc quần đảo Trường Sa mà Hà Nội gọi là bất hợp pháp. Bộ Ngoại giao nói Việt Nam ngày 6 tháng 11 gửi công hàm phản đối tới Đại sứ quán Trung Quốc ở Hà Nội. Phản ứng của Việt Nam được đưa ra sau khi trang mạng woncha.cn của Trung Quốc hồi tháng trước dẫn các nguồn tin và hình ảnh chụp từ vệ tinh nói rằng Bắc Kinh nâng cấp bãi đá này thành một hòn đảo lớn hơn cả đảo Ba Bình, vốn là hòn đảo lớn nhất trong quần đảo Trường Sa. Hình ảnh trên trang Digital Globe cho thấy Trung Quốc đã nới rộng bãi chữ thập gấp trên 11 lần, từ 0,08 km vuông lên thành gần 1 cây số vuông. Phát ngôn nhân Lê Hải Bình của Bộ Ngoại giao Việt Nam ngày 6 tháng 11 nhấn mạnh, hành động của Trung Quốc xâm phạm nghiêm trọng chủ quyền Việt Nam, vi phạm luật pháp quốc tế, đi ngược lại tuyên bố ứng xử của các bên ở Biển Đông (DOC), trái với thỏa thuận Việt Trung và những nguyên tắc cơ bản chỉ đạo giải quyết vấn đề trên biển, làm phá vỡ nguyên trạng, gây căng thẳng phức tạp tình hình, không có lợi cho hòa bình ổn định trong khu vực. Vẫn theo lời ông Bình, Việt Nam yêu cầu Trung Quốc tôn trọng chủ quyền Việt Nam và tuyên bố ứng xử DOC, chấm dứt ngay việc cải tạo xây dựng công trình, không để tái diễn những hành động sai trái tương tự. Tin cho hay bề mặt của đá chữ thập có thể tiếp tục được Trung Quốc mở rộng gấp đôi diện tích hiện nay lên thành 2 cây số vuông, tức là lớn hơn đảo Ba Bình 4 lần. Bắc Kinh có phần chắc cũng sẽ tăng cường sự hiện diện quân sự và chính trị ở đây và sẽ biến nơi này thành trung tâm quản lý hành chính, cũng như thành lập một tư lệnh cho quân lực ở Biển Đông. Bãi chữ thập bị Trung Quốc chiếm từ năm 1988, hiện do thành phố Tam Sa quản lý hành chính. Trung Quốc cũng xây dựng một sân bay lên thẳng, một bến tàu, một tòa nhà 2 tầng và một nhà kính có diện tích 500 m2 ở đây. Hiện có chừng 200 binh sĩ Trung Quốc trú đóng trên bãi đá này. Bãi chữ thập cách Trung Quốc 740 hải lý về hướng Nam, nhưng gần bờ biển Việt Nam hơn. Đá chữ thập được xem là có tầm quan trọng chiến lược đối với Trung Quốc, vì trong vòng bán kính 70 cây số không có căn cứ nào do nước ngoài kiểm soát. Giới phân tích cho rằng công trình khai hoang xây dựng ở bãi chữ thập dự kiến có thể dẫn tới một tiền đồn trọng yếu cho các hoạt động quân sự và thương mại dân sự của Trung Quốc trong các vùng có tranh chấp ở Biển Đông. Kể từ cuối năm ngoái, quân đội Trung Quốc đã tiến hành hoạt động xây dựng và cải tạo địa hình tại nhiều bãi đá và đảo nhỏ ở Trường Sa. Trung Quốc nói có quyền tiến hành bất cứ hoạt động xây dựng nào trong phạm vi mà họ gọi là lãnh thổ của mình, mà các nước không được phép bình luận. Truyền thông Đài Loan gần đây dẫn lời giới chuyên gia tố cáo rằng hoạt động xây dựng của Việt Nam thực hiện ở quần đảo Trường Sa còn hơn cả Trung Quốc. Phó phát ngôn nhân Bộ Ngoại giao Việt Nam Phạm Thu Hằng chiều ngày 6 tháng 11 nói, Việt Nam có bằng chứng pháp lý lịch sử về chủ quyền ở Trường Sa, Hoàng Sa. Mọi hoạt động của Việt Nam tại nơi này đều phù hợp với chủ quyền hợp pháp của Việt Nam, Công ước Liên Hiệp Quốc về luật biển và tuyên bố về ứng xử của các bên ở Biển Đông.
Since the 2nd of May 2014, China has arbitrarily deployed its oil rig Haiyang Shiyu 981 to the exclusive economic zone and continental shelf of Vietnam, and dispatched over 100 vessels, which at times totaled up to 140, including military vessels such as missile-armed frigates, fast attack craft, amphibious transport docks, and fighter jets to the area where the oil rig HYSY 981 is operating. China's vessels surrounded, actively attacked, intentionally rammed and shot water cannons at Vietnam's Coast Guard vessels and fishery control vessels on duty in the waters under Vietnam's sovereign right and jurisdiction, injuring tens of Vietnamese fishery control personnel and damaging many vessels and equipment of Vietnamese law enforcement authorities. China Coast Guard 44044 vessel increased speed and rammed Vietnam Coast Guard 4033 vessel. Vietnam Coast Guard 4033 vessel's starboard was hit and smashed by Chinese vessels. Chinese vessels shot water cannons at Vietnamese civil law enforcement vessels. Vietnam Fishery Control 765 vessel's starboard was rammed and smashed by Chinese vessel. On the 26th of May 2014, a Chinese vessel rammed and sank Vietnamese fishing boat DNA 90152, which was fishing normally in the exclusive economic zone of Vietnam, 17 nautical miles away from the oil rig, aggravating tensions. The Chinese vessel rammed the fishing boat DNA 90152 2 to 3 times and intentionally sank it. More seriously, Chinese vessels even inhumanely prevented Vietnamese vessels from rescuing Vietnamese fishermen of the fishing boat DNA 90152, which had been sunk by China. On the 1st of June 2014, Chinese vessels rammed and broke the Vietnam Coast Guard 2016 vessel on duty in Vietnamese waters. The above-mentioned acts of China escalate the tensions in the South China Sea, seriously threatening peace, stability, freedom of navigation, and maritime security and safety in the region, causing concerns within the international community and fueling discontent among the Vietnamese people. The aggressive acts of Chinese vessels have made the international community indignant. Strong protest against China's wrongdoing should be voiced to defend justice.